My people, how are y'all doing today? Welcome to another episode of Through a Culture Lens. My name is Michael Anthony, and with me, as always, is Miss Amber Gray. How are you doing, girl? How you doing today? I was about to come up with something, but I couldn't think of nothing.
Don't worry, I'm hanging in there. I got some back problems today. I'm pushing through.
Okay. Well, how was
How
your
you
Fourth of
doing?
I'm good. You know, it's
Good.
though. It's like
It's hot. I love
blazing.
it.
It's like 100. It's like 100 degrees, and I'm sweating up in here. I got the air on. I got the fan blowing. It's just mad hot outside. It's like 100 degrees.
It is, and I never complain on mad hot days. I love me some hot days, so
See,
I love it.
I can't take it. I can't take it. It's just too hot. It's just too hot. But of course, welcome our third host. It's been a minute. We miss y'all. I know that some of y'all are starting to roll in right now. We only got I think one person in here, two people in here right now. But please, whenever you join, please hit the subscribe, the like button, the notification bell, just all that good stuff, right? All that
And
good
share.
Share. Please. Well, today, as you can see down below, we are actually talking about our top shows this year. And, one of the things that we really want to do is sort of look at where we're at in this midway point,
Yeah.
and like some of the content that we've seen thus far. And so we're kind of excited to kind of share some of this list of some of this content with you guys. And of course, if you guys have any content that you have, please let us know, and we will definitely
Please.
try and give it a shout out. Maybe we've seen it, maybe we haven't, maybe we agree, maybe we do not agree.
That's right. Give us
Um,
all. Give us all of it, please.
exactly. So, but do you how you feel? Oh, hey, Mama, how you doing? Mama's in the house. Mama's in the house.
I know. I say, hey there.
Yeah, yeah. So, kind of moving right along, we're going to go sort of in chronological order of the films that we sort of liked the most this year. And we're going to start off with one that we covered like a while back, the MLK FBI documentary. Now, this
Yes.
documentary, this is one of my picks. Now we only have like 8 up here because me and Amber, like we usually do, we agree on some things. And this was one of the ones that, no, this wasn't one of the ones we agreed on. This is what
No,
mine.
this is yours.
This is mine, yeah. And really what I loved about this documentary, and just to let people know a little bit about the documentary, it's basically about J. Edgar Hoover and him going after Martin Luther King and with the full
Yeah.
force of the government. And it really
Which we've seen as a
exposed.
theme, as you guys remember. That's a Hoover FBI theme for sure.
Yeah. And it just really just highlighted, them specifically attacking him, the documents, how they tried to discredit his name, so on
Yep.
and so forth, which has been conspiracy theories, for years, but this sort of confirmed it. And I just thought that it was a very well done, and also the time that it came out
Hmm.
during this racial reckoning for something else to just expose white supremacy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, this was a pretty well done this is a well done documentary. I think because I had known a lot of this stuff, I'm glad that it kind of like saw the light of day, because I'm not sure, had there not been a documentary, that people would have known um could the I guess the lengths that Hoover would have went to silence these black leaders during the civil rights movement. So I'm glad that that's exposed, and I'm glad that this is just one of the many films that have been exposing that. So for that, thumbs up for me.
Exactly. And and one thing that I love about this movie and like documentary is just how it can change policy. Because if
Exactly.
you've heard, they are considering renaming the FBI building and renaming it from J. Edgar Hoover Building to something else. I don't know exactly what they're going to necessarily call it, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be the J. Edgar Hoover Building anymore, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I'm good with that.
Yeah. I
You
am
know.
too.
Uh, okay,
Dude,
so
good riddance. I'm just kidding.
exactly. Oh no, straight up, like, bro, you got to go.
Yeah.
You
Bye.
got to bounce up out of here. Like, you cannot be
Exactly.
part of
You
our
ruined many, many lives, many families, many a whole culture. You
many
ruined.
folks, many folks. All right, and then number 2 on our list, we have WandaVision, which this one is yours. So, would you like
I
to give us a
love
little? Go ahead and give us a
I
little
love
background.
WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so WandaVision actually was if I'm not mistaken, the first Marvel show after Endgame came out, which was of course the finale to the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Avengers. So this had some nuggets from Endgame and from the Avengers. Um, so it has some nuggets that maybe you didn't quite know if you watched the Avengers, like, and they kind of added some extra, like what happened, those 5 years. They had a little bit of a snippet of what happened those 5 years to some of the characters, after the snap from the first one, from what's the called? I always forget the first one, the Avenger. The first part of the finale.
Oh, Infinity War.
Infinity War. Always
Mhm.
forget the name.
Mhm.
So yeah, it kind of gave you that kind of placement of what happened to some people during that 5-year period. And then on top of that, we already know, this is not a spoiler. I hope you guys have seen Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame. He did not make it out alive, Vision. So I think I don't want to put too much in there. So some people came back. Unfortunately, he did not because they had his stone taken out, by Thanos. So she has this whole kind of vision of what life would be if he was still alive. And she had an obsession based off of her developing country kind of upbringing with the sitcoms from the 60s, the I Dream of Jeannie and that sort of sitcom. So she painted this entire world where he was alive, her husband Vision was alive, and they had a family and they lived in this sitcom. So all the things that were happening as a result of her creating this world, that's what was so interesting about the show. I mean, you didn't know what you were watching. You weren't sure if you really were watching a sitcom. They made it really clever where you weren't really sure the first like 3 or so episodes. Okay, what is going on? Is this an alternate universe? Are we like, jumping back into time here? Like what's happening? So you get further into the series and you realize she created this entire bubble around an existing city and pretty much had everybody under her own spell. They were just players in her story. So I thought it was incredibly clever, and I loved every single episode. And was sad that it was done when the season was over.
Yeah, yeah. I, to me, up to that point, it was the best so far. Even to me, right now, because I'm all about ending.
Yeah,
We're going to get to another Marvel thing later on, but I just thought that it was done so well, so clever. The writing, especially creating these worlds
yeah,
from the I Dream of Jeannie to the Brady
hmm
Bunch, and just how she transitioned even to the 80s and to the 90s,
yeah,
and sort of how that whole story unfolded.
exactly.
Even the mind control thing, because Scarlet Witch, she's a pretty powerful Marvel character.
He's very powerful.
Right. And of course, full disclaimer, if you guys don't already know, we're two geeks. We love comic book movies and things like that.
Yes, we
And if
do.
it's just good content, it's
I'll
good
push up
content.
my glasses, my geek glasses.
Exactly. I mean, we just love this kind of stuff. So Marvel, they've done a great job as far as putting the cinematic universe, and WandaVision, which wasn't really, I mean, she had sort of a role throughout the cinematic universe whenever she was first introduced. I believe it was in Avengers 2 Age of Ultron
It
with
was
her
Age of
and
Ultron.
Quicksilver,
Hmm.
but she was just sort of this bite-sized sort of character. She
Right.
didn't really get a well-rounded full movie like a Thor, like an Iron Man, even
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk, not Mark Ruffalo, but Edward Norton, Incredible Hulk. But they all got, so she was more of a co-star throughout. So for her to get her own show to really sort of explore her as a character, I thought they did a
And how
very good
strong
job.
she truly is.
She is a beast. Like,
Yeah. And then
she.
Agatha, which is another witch
Mm-hmm,
character in the comic books,
mm-hmm,
that she appears at the end. But no,
mm-hmm,
I'm just excited to see where they go
yeah.
because obviously I think a lot of us who love the MCU were
Mm-hmm,
sad to know that it was kind of I knew they were going to be coming up with other series, but
mm-hmm,
most of the series, I got to be honest, I'm not like a huge fan of a lot of
mm-hmm,
people's series.
mm-hmm.
So to love this as much as I've loved it is like, okay, you guys sticking to the cleverness that Infinity Wars was, sticking to the cleverness that Endgame was, thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Because some of these series can be a little like
Yeah.
they just don't quite have that same oomph, a lot of times for me at least.
Right. And I totally 100% agree. It's just, I think whenever you give a character a series like that, where you can really dive a little bit more deeper into them, I think they just did a great job, especially with such a complicated character and a complicated storyline.
Right.
And
Very much so.
it had some representation in it.
Had some
What
representation, some natural hair representation.
some natural hair representation. So if you haven't seen WandaVision, if you're into the Marvel universe, then please check it out if you are.
Yeah,
And I
and it's
see.
and it's and it's not a constant battle with this one too. So if you're somebody that doesn't like all the fighting and the action, this is actually more of narrative with that kind of. So yeah, I think if you're interested in Marvel and something a little tamer than what you've seen, this is definitely a good start on
Absolutely,
Disney
absolutely.
Plus.
On Disney Plus, absolutely. And then moving right along to another movie. This one would be my choice, Malcolm and
Yes,
Marie. I just thought that it just took me back to like theater, just
yes,
small, just character acting, just two people, black and white. The cinematography was great. We have talked about John David Washington quite a bit on
yeah.
this show, and I would say that this by far was his like crowning achievement as far as his acting chops. He really had to dig deep. Oh, I can't remember the girl's name. I keep on forgetting her name. Zoe?
Marie,
No, yeah, Marie.
Zendaya.
Zendaya. she completely grew up in this film. You know, for her to be in the Spider-Man franchise, which is Marvel, she
Right.
was playing a high school student who was
Exactly.
sort of Peter Parker's somewhat kind of sort of love interest or whatever, but she was like a mean
Right.
girl, you know, but was very smart. Wasn't mean, but just awkward, let's say. And she
That's
played that
right.
role very well.
She
In
did.
this, she became a full grown woman. And
Exactly.
it was refreshing to see her be able to do that. So to see two people just going at it acting wise, and then the deeper conversation about relationships and love and success and sacrifice
Yeah.
and all these things that they had, I
Yeah.
just thought it was really, really well done.
I agree. I actually really like this. This was one of those movies where, like you said, I was kind of trepidatious with it because John David Washington has not blown us away as we've as we've said. But the similar to you, even though I hate mentioning this person's name, it reminded me of Woody Allen because prior to me knowing about who he was, I absolutely loved Woody Allen. I did a lot of Woody Allen theater in high school and in college, so I do have an affinity for like the two players on stage going back and forth, you know, that kind of like dynamic. And he does that, you know, he did that well. So I did like that aspect of it, of just literally two people, no other person, no other interruption. And it felt like I was just somebody that was in the next room. Like these people ain't gonna stop. Like I felt like I was in the house in an opposite, in a, you know, a guest bedroom. Like, oh my God, they are never going to stop arguing. It's going to be all weekend at this point. But it was shot really cool. I love that they kept it that black and white. Um, I love the house. The house was incredibly dope. Yeah, that was really dope. I like it. I thought the acting, like you said, I really do think Zendaya lifted up David Washington, John David Washington. I do think she elevated him. She kind of brought him up a level. And I do like similar to you, because Zendaya has played that high school, you know, kid a lot. I started liking her with the show, that show that I love of hers, and I'm trying to think of the name of
Oh
it.
yeah,
Where she, the,
Euphoria, I think it's called
Euphoria.
the one on HBO. Yes.
Yeah, even though she was supposed to be a teenager, supposed to be 16 or 17, she still her acting that already knew from that show going into Malcolm and Marie, their acting was going to be phenomenal because her acting in that show was phenomenal. Even if she's supposed to be a teen, she's just a great actress. So yeah, I thought this was not talk. I think it's kind of underrated, honestly. I don't think people talk about this movie enough, honestly.
And the director was Sam Levinson, who is a
That's
white
right.
director, and so it was also sort of, I don't know, because he was writing this for a black couple, and it felt very authentic, especially at the
Yeah.
beginning when he's talking about him being a black director and sort of the things that a black director has to go through in the industry to achieve the heights that he got to at that point. And so, yeah, I think it was, like you said, very a la Woody Allen, which I was never really a big Woody Allen fan, you know, but I can see why you like him though.
Yeah.
But there's some works that I did like the one he did with Diane Keaton when she was with the Suspenders. Can't remember the name of that movie, but yeah, I did like that one. But this definitely has that film noir.
Yeah, I will say Sam Levinson because he works with Zendaya on Euphoria. He's the director of Euphoria.
Okay.
He's got pretty much a half black, half white cast that he works with. So I'm assuming there's a little bit of like allyship slash just literally talking to the actors about what their thoughts on his writing. Because I do remember them saying that he gave them that kind of, you know, opportunity to be like, what isn't authentic? Like, what should I change? So if that's the case, I do think he listened to the actors and got a good performance and a realistic one that a black director, you know, actress, I think she was supposed to be an actress, you know, would how they would feel, especially in the Hollywood landscape. So I think he did a good job listening.
Yeah, I think it was just another fine job. Okay, and then moving on to our next pick, that would be the United States versus Billie Holiday. Now, this was a pick that both of us chose for this one. Both of us picked 5, and this is one of the ones that we agreed upon, so our list is not going to be at 10. But United States versus Billie Holiday, similar to MLK FBI, except for as opposed to it being a documentary, it is a narrative film about Billie Holiday, played by Andra Day, who this is her first acting performance ever. Crushed it. Got a Golden Globe. Got a Golden Globe for best acting in a lead role. And it was just about the FBI informants going in and trying to disrupt her because of the song Strange Fruit. And again, this was just an awesome movie. I mean, your thoughts?
Love
Yeah,
it.
you love it. Oh yeah.
Like I think most of us know Andre, maybe not even well, know Andre Day is a singer. So, and the fact is Lee Daniels, I always forget Lee Daniels. I don't ever, I don't put a lot of weight on Lee Daniels. Not that he isn't a talented person. It's just not somebody who I would imagine could get this out of his actors, and he did a phenomenal job. So let's give him props once. I don't think he also gets enough props, but he did a great job. Andra Day did a good job, and just the storytelling of this kind of time in her life where she was probably the most tumultuous, and then just kind of, I think I said this when we first reviewed the show. I just wish there was a little bit more of her backstory, her, how she was as a kid, what happened to her. They did give us a little bit to kind of paint the picture of abuse and growing up in a brothel and obviously having a very unstable life. And then of course that led to her decisions and her choices and things that happened. But then again, just to see the relentlessness of the FBI against Black creators, Black, civil rights activists, it didn't matter. Anybody who had a platform that was not for the status quo was going to be profiled and destroyed at this time. And this was so early that it's almost shocking to happen this early, because it was like the 30s or 40s he was doing this to her.
Yep. J.
So
Edgar Hoover
that
again.
again, I didn't realize, in my mind, the civil rights era, I get that. Like I get why, not why, but I get that's when he started profiling people. But in my mind, that's where it started. So to know that it went back in the 40s with Billie Holiday, it's like this man has had decades of destruction underneath his belt that I wasn't even privy to. So yeah, I just well acted, nicely shot,
Yeah,
very good.
costume was good. Even the kid who
Yep.
plays Everyone Hates Chris.
Yeah,
He was in
yeah,
it, and he played, I think, the saxophone player. He
that's
was
right,
awesome in it. He was awesome in it. It
that's
was,
right.
and of course, that's available on Hulu. It's, if you have Hulu, check it out. But just another, just like you said, Lee Daniels sort of pulling this out, because Lee Daniels is, of course, Empire. He also did the
Butler.
Butler, things like that. So, this to me was his best work,
Oh,
thus far.
1000%.
Yeah, thus far. I mean,
Yes,
he's very talented, not taking anything away from him, but you know, just sometimes you have a project that's just better than the rest. Hopefully,
right.
and we wish him the best of him continuing elevating and still growing as a storyteller. But this was, especially since we haven't seen Billie Holiday, at least that I can remember, since uh, Lady Sings the Blues, which
Hmm.
is Dinah Ross.
Right.
And you always see this, but then it's like you see these pictures of Billie Holiday, and she's more of a full figured woman.
That's the
But
main ones they show.
that's
Yeah,
the main ones that they show. But with her being on heroin, you would think that she probably would have lost some weight to
yeah.
where probably her being the size of Audrey Day, which was very thin,
Hmm.
probably is very representative of what Billie Holiday looked like as a
Well, she had
person.
to lose 30 pounds,
Uh,
so
no, yeah,
she's not that skinny naturally. So that was definitely to encompass who she was at that point. That's why it was such a small, maybe like a year time frame, year and a half or something of her life, of her downfall, I guess. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it makes sense that at that time she was heavily doing
Mhm.
heroin. It makes sense.
Yeah, but just another great one, just another one that we just have to put up there on the list. All right, and
Yep.
moving right along to our next one, Raya and the Last Dragon. Now this one's yours. Go ahead and tell us a little bit. But I'm a
Yes.
big fan of it too.
I thought it was one of the coolest Disney movies. So again, this is a Disney film. It was on premiere or premium, whatever, premium access for a while. So finally it became free. I'm like, oh, let's watch this. This was really cute. It was basically about a bunch of different villages, I guess, that were kind of, I don't want to say against each other, but they weren't working together. And one family had this gemstone that pretty much powered um, or kept them protected, I should say, from the darkness. It kept the whole land protected from the darkness. And the darkness came about when all of the dragons were slayed. So all the dragons were killed, and the dragons were keeping all the light and the brightness in this land, at bay. And they were keeping the darkness at bay. But when they were slaughtered, killed, the darkness took over, and that particular dragon stone, I guess it's called, was there it is in the guy's hand, was keeping all the darkness away. But of course, all the fractions of like communities came together trying to get control of it, basically, because human nature, people want to control the one thing, one resource that's like that's finite. So at any rate, broke. They took the pieces everywhere. The darkness came and kind of destroyed a whole bunch of the land. And she just went on this journey to kind of fix what happened with the dragon stone. And then she realizes there's one dragon left and she could help. restore the light in the universe. And it was just really cool. It was a really cool story about a girl who was really close to her father. She was a warrior, with another girl who was kind of her adversary, who was really close to her mother, and they're in two different tribes, I guess. And it was just really cool of like just trusting each other, trusting your neighbor, just being a good person and not holding on to things kind of message. And no love interest, which is good. I always love it when the girls are just strong, saving things, and no love interest like the typical Disney movie. So it was just really cool. Little ensemble cast of people she picked up along the way to help her. I just thought it was awesome. Loved it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, when you mentioned this on your list, it was really close for me because
Yeah.
I actually purchased this through the Disney Premium
Mm-hmm.
because I could take Frozen and Moana only but so much. And of course,
Yeah.
most of y'all should know I have a small little grown woman who's 4 years old, and she loves her some Frozen and things like that. So as soon as Raya came out and I knew it was a female focus, she would definitely fall in love with this. And I just enjoyed it from start to finish.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those movies where it's made for kids, but it has so much heart to it that
Right.
you could even learn something as an adult, about
Exactly.
how we get into these power structures and
Right.
power struggles of who's going to have this and who's going to have this and who doesn't have this, and
Always
things like
resources,
that.
right? It's always that.
It's always based off of resources. And so for them to sort of come together to all these different factions to actually come together to sort of defeat this enemy, and like you said, it didn't have any love story in it. It was just more about togetherness and friendship, and also another thing of representation, because especially seeing something that was of the Asian culture, but wasn't like set in Asia, but it's definitely of their culture, right, and things like that. And Awkwafina, I thought she was hilarious.
Which I love her.
Yeah, she's so funny. I've had a debate with somebody about her actually profiting off of acting black, and now that she's made it, she I guess isn't trying to associate with black anymore. I don't know.
So she's Mark Wahlberging everybody?
Yes. That is very, very good, Amber.
yeah. Very good.
Very good. Summed it up very nicely. That's what somebody had discussed with me, is that Awkwafina is sort of Mark Wahlberg. Like,
I don't know much about her,
right,
and that doesn't shock me because the name itself, I'm like, are you trying to be like a hood chick? Is that what this name is supposed to be? But yeah, to sum up with your friend Touche, I kind of agree. I think that happens a lot. Like, anybody that wants to get into like the cool set, the cool culture, is using AAVE, and trying to like be down and get invited to the cookout. And they get to the cookout, it's a little cool factor, and they're like, okay, bye. I mean, there's so many artists like that. Yeah, we could go on for days about that, but yes,
that's a whole nother show. That's
a whole nother show.
But
whole nother show.
To keep it on Raya, I thought that it was just thought it was a really well done movie, and especially with raising a girl. And like my daughter, she is not with the Snow Whites, the Cinderellas, the Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
A damsel in distress, my girl is not about. She's like, I'd rather go play, I'd rather use anything else. If it's like the Frozens, like the Moanas, like the Tangled, where the girls are empowered and are fighting, and they might meet a guy on the way, but really they don't need him because they just brush him off their shoulder, like Elsa, which is so funny that which is not funny actually. Hopefully those people in Florida are safe because they actually named that hurricane Elsa.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they named it her,
and she's a hurricane in the story for sure.
She is, she is definitely in there. So, but yeah, back on Raya, I just thought it was just well done. It definitely had me choked up for just a moment. At the end, just a moment had me. What they called it, verklempt, I think it's.
Verklempt.
Yeah. I was a little choked up, like sitting there with my daughter, like, oh, and my son is there too, and I'm like, I can't cry in front of him, not with this movie.
Yeah.
But it was a really touching movie, though. It was a really touching movie, But okay, and now moving right along, this is, of course, you knew that this was going to be up on our list. If you guys watched a previous episode, we dedicated a whole episode to this show right here. And this is one that both of us agreed upon as well.
Loved it.
It was so well done. So well done.
I do not give a rat's patoot what people think about this show. This show was done wonderfully. It was done
It's
wonderfully. The acting was superb. The set, superb. The costume design, superb. It was a right amount of white effery and supernatural for me. It had the right amount. And I think it tied up nicely. I think the story was cohesive. This was a well done piece of work. Okay.
I mean, it was difficult to watch, as some people, will still have not seen it. I believe that,
Oh yeah.
I,
Let me not negate that. You're right. Let me not downplay that. It was
yeah, yeah,
difficult.
it is definitely a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But again, plainly, it just says, white people, you are the spooks behind the door. You are the monsters in the closet. And they show that literally you are under our beds. You are what we are scared of. We're not scared of ghosts. We're not scared of monsters or Jason or supernatural things. We are afraid of y'all. And
Yeah.
this is why. And how they showed it from the spiritual element of white supremacy, but then also just in your face white
Yeah.
supremacy. And yeah, for the hate that it gets, once again, I feel that it's because of the content and how they sort of just went there with it. And one thing that me and you have talked about as well on this is that the ending, it wasn't a bad ending.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't a bad ending, but it could have just maybe left us off with just a little bit more, just a little bit
Yeah.
more of a win.
Yeah.
But
I've definitely, I mean, I told you that from the beginning. I think the ending was fair. I just would have liked to have seen them driving off in the sunset and that whole block, that whole little township just burnt to the ground.
burn, 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 burn,
And
burn,
anything
burn,
that
burn.
any association with that family somehow gets mystically wiped away so no one tries to find them because no one knows who they are. I don't
Right,
know. Just
right,
something you could have used a little supernatural, a little of the surreal,
right.
for just to get them out of there and just not because technically they both got murder charges. I mean, they got all this stuff that's going to be up against them, and she's escaped from the loony bin. I don't want to say loony bin, but you know what I mean. This great mental institution.
Right. But back
So
then it was probably the loony bin. So
it
you're
probably was called
you're
that.
historically correct.
I'm being historically correct. Yes, thank you. But yeah, so it's like there still was for me this like, well, I hope they don't get arrested, and I hope this doesn't happen. I hope can they just get away and just be done with this chapter, please? So yeah, that was frustrating for sure, but otherwise great. I mean, it was nicely done.
Exactly. And we know that it's an anthology, so which of course anthologies are different stories within a bigger
Yeah,
picture. So
right.
this could be a continuation. I do not want to talk up because as we have put on our Instagram, there is another show with an all black cast about supernatural that should have made the cut, but didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
And what show is that? What show is that? That got
Lovecraft
canceled.
Country.
Mm-hmm.
What about it? It should have made the cut, but didn't make the cut. Is that
Yeah,
what you
didn't
said?
make the cut. Yeah, so I'm not trying to put bad juju
Oh yeah.
on the show that we're talking about, but it's like, are they setting a precedence of like, oh, well, Lovecraft Country went there, it was hugely popular, but we're not going to renew it. And then it's HBO. That's the thing that kills me is like HBO. You've always been so progressive. Why is it now you would cut a show that is putting you on the map?
It's a
Even more.
backlash.
You think so?
I just really felt the disingenuousness of all the companies like, yeah, Black Lives Matter last year. Yeah, we got to support Black creatives. We're going to do this and do that. I just feel like every time I hear this, like, we're going to push to do this and push to do that, it ends up being like just for show and then goes into the waste bin when nobody's watching. Because I mean, they greenlight shows that to me, I mean, they might have been good shows, but they never interested me. Like I never got into some of those shows that were on HBO, like with what's his name? The guy with the teeth, the guy with the bad teeth. It was like a circus show or something that was on forever on HBO. So there's like certain shows that I feel like no one talks about these shows. So how good are they really? They go on for a thousand seasons. And then obviously we know how we feel about GOT, about that being a phenomenal show and just consistently not doing well. And they're begging for more, seasons. So if, I don't know, I just feel like they kind of give you the little one off. They do a little P Diddy, give you one album and then just say good luck on the second one. That's what I feel like is going to happen with a lot of these companies. So yeah, let's not put juju on them and Little Marvin. I hope they do get a second season of whatever that might, be. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because when we did our last year 2020 review show, Lovecraft was on there, and
Hmm.
now we're not going to get another one. So
I know.
that's so. Yeah, well, and Mama, I see that you said you're still trying to watch it. Go ahead and watch it, so that means they don't cancel it. And my mama, she loves scary movies. Like she
Oh, she
loves
does. Damn,
scary movies.
what is going on
But
now?
but see, my mama's ultra black though. Like she as soon as she starts seeing these white people and
I
being
understand.
in the South around these
Yes,
white folks,
yes.
my
But you
mama
see,
used to
that's why
be.
I took a break. When we were watching it, a couple months ago. I had to take a break. I couldn't go straight through like you. I could not power through that.
Yeah, my mom
Too much
she's
anger.
ex-military, so she
Oh
had
yeah, so
to take
she
that.
feels it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she ain't gonna But once again, it's a great show. I think I know she's in the chat. She hasn't seen it either, but she's not into horror or supernatural stuff. Like she
Yeah.
watched Lovecraft, but she wasn't a fan of it really because it just
Okay.
wasn't her sort of genre.
I understand.
But once again, if you like good stuff, them is definitely on there. All right. And the next show, which would be yours, which is
Yes.
another thing from
Low key.
Marvel. Go ahead, tell us
I
a little about it.
So this one is the only one that is still not. It's not finished. So I
Not
don't know how
finished
many
yet.
more episodes we have. Maybe 2 or 3
You're right.
more
One came out
episodes.
today. One came out
Yeah.
today.
So I so far absolutely love this. This is giving me the cleverness that I got from WandaVision. It's the cleverness that I've been wanting Marvel to do with their series that I feel like just wasn't there for me. But Loki also is like one of those characters where he just comes clever. Like he comes with like that's kind of, I don't want to say swag, but that's not the right word, but like that kind of embodiment of this jokester and this person you cannot trust. So he already comes with a character built in. You already know you can't trust this guy. You know that he would literally stab you in the back for whatever stone he wants that day. So it's just a really cool story of him being captured by this bureau, like an FBI, but it's a bureau for time travel and like variants, people that are messing up the timeline get arrested basically, and put in this kind of holding cell for people that are messing up time basically. So he obviously is a jumper. He'll jump from here and there, and he'll use different things to go from one time frame to another or one galaxy to the other. And he's to them messing things up. So they captured him, and it's kind of the story that ensues of like him trying to get away, and then him working with them to catch his variant. So there's another Loki who's screwing things up in the galaxy. So they use him to get in contact with his alter ego essentially, and just their kind of interesting dynamic because his alter ego is a woman version of him, which makes it kind of like strange because there's a little bit of sexual tension. And it's like, okay, are you that self-absorbed that you're this attracted to yourself? So it's a little odd with really cool characters like one of the Owens brothers is the main character, and then Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who I love from Beyond the Lights. She's a character, so good acting, another good set, good costuming again, good special effects. So far, I love it.
Yeah, I agree, and I've been watching it as well. And a new episode came out today, so I'm definitely gonna probably watch it after we get off of here.
Exactly.
And hey, Aunt Linda, how you doing, girl? How you doing? But Loki, yeah, once again, it's a good show. I think it's
Yeah,
Heddleton,
Hendelson
Hendelson.
or something. Yeah, something. Yeah,
I think he does a really good job at that, and I like. So they're playing with time travel, but then also this multiverse thing, which
that's right.
because Marvel likes to stack things onto things, like Doctor
Yeah,
Strange, we know like Doctor Strange 2 is supposed to be called the multiverse of madness, I believe. So they're really
yeah,
playing with these alternate timelines of alternate universes that's happening all at once and sort of moving together all
that's
at
right.
once. So it's like now, as opposed to just traveling in time within your own timeline, now there's these multiple timelines that you can go through. And this goes back into Marvel's sort of canon, the comic book stories that they've had back in the 80s and 90s and different things like that. And so they're just kind of continuous in that on. And what this does is sort of just opens up a whole new world of storytelling that they can do.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can bring people in from different universes. So like Hugh Jackman did a Twitter, like blew up Twitter apparently because he had a poster of the Wolverine claws coming out, which Logan was supposed to be his last
It was.
movie, but then he just posted something with the Wolverine arm. So essentially, what they could do is have Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, come in from a different universe, and then have another Wolverine in the MCU that we know right now, and sort of play with that if they wanted. They can even bring Professor Xavier back.
Yeah.
There's just so many things they can do.
I mean, because I did that with Loki, because Loki technically is dead. I mean, he's been killed many times, but technically in Avengers, Infinity War, he should be dead.
Right. Well, at the end game, well, in Infinity War at the beginning, that's whenever Thanos killed him.
Yeah.
But in
Hmm.
this storyline, his timeline gets altered whenever the Avengers go back in Endgame, and then
Hmm.
he takes the Tesseract and then
Yeah, he
goes
takes
to a
Tesseract.
whole,
Yeah.
and so he doesn't actually fulfill what he's supposed to do. So now he's on this trajectory to where everything that happened in Thor Ragnarok, everything that
It's a
happened in
splinter.
exactly, or a Nexus event is what they call it,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Nexus event.
a
Yeah.
Nexus event is what they call it. But I think that he's just a good actor. I think them playing with the female alter ego and things like that, and them looking at these catastrophe events, it's just once again, another well written show. Marvel, they just Kevin Feige. That's the person who's over Marvel. Like that's a visionary. Like my man
Major.
knows how to just piece everything together to make sure that everything's in conversation and making sure
Yes.
everything's clever. And even though I'm not too excited about some of the new Marvel movies that's coming out,
Hmm.
but I'm probably still going to watch them. Like Black Widow, I'm
Right.
not interested in seeing Black Widow, but I'm not going to definitely pay for it. But I'll watch it. I know they have like the 10 Rings, the Shing.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
I watched the Mutants. I know that's not. I mean, there's a few that I watched. I'm like, no, but that's what makes him, as far as, because I do feel like those are maybe just like those like one-off stories, like similar to they did with like Solo. They did these kind of one-off stories that somewhat connect but don't really connect, and we're just gonna do some character development real quick of somebody that we know you guys like to fill a void. The one thing that at least he's doing, some of those he does, like I said, have the one-offs that don't quite fit to me, like Mutants. Have you seen Mutants? That just, I think that's just like maybe it's in the X-Men. I know X-Men is kind of in its own lane. Maybe that's part of that.
X-Men. That was X-Men under Fox.
Under Fox.
But now Marvel owns all of that whole library. Marvel now, because Marvel didn't have
Spider-Man.
X-Men. They still don't have Spider-Man. Sony owns.
They still don't have. That's Sony, right?
That's Sony.
Who's
Sony
got that?
Owns,
okay.
Yes, Sony, and then Sony licensed Spider-Man to be in the MCU. That's why Disney and Sony sort of had this, or Marvel had this battle, because after Spider-Man, I think Going Home, whatever the second one was, they had a standoff because their contract was up for only 2 movies. But the way that they ended Spider-Man Far From Home, that's what it's called, Far From Home.
Far From Home, yeah.
The way they ended it, like Sony had Marvel like by the cojones, because the way that movie ended, it was like you can't leave a movie like that with the star, especially as big of a character as Spider-Man is. In all of Marvel. I mean, he's like probably the most popular character.
Yeah.
Maybe Wolverine's up there, but like Spider-Man's up there.
For kids, Spider-Man is it.
I know his video games are dope too, but so yeah, and then also Incredible Hulk. Incredible Hulk is owned by Universal, I believe. So back in the
we
day,
could have a whole MCU conversation, because it's like in Age of Ultron, and we talked about Scarlet Witch and her brother Silver Surfer, because think about Silver Surfer's been used before. But I don't think it was Marvel that used him. It was, wasn't that when
X-Men? It was X-Men.
Yeah, but remember he was in the other, and I actually never got into these. Well, what I'm going to say is I've never gotten into these, but in the ones that Michael B. Jordan was in, and Jessica Alba or whoever that was, remember those? It was like the Fantastic Four. Was that even Marvel, or was that owned by somebody else?
That was Sony. I mean, that was Fox.
Yeah, that was Sony again.
No, that was Fox. That was Fox.
That was Fox. Okay.
That was Fox. Yeah.
Because wasn't he in that? Silver Surfer.
Oh yeah, Quicksilver. You're correct.
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver is the brother to Wanda.
That's right. Okay, I wanted to make sure, because I'm like, I know there was Quicksilver and there's Silver Surfer. So which one was he supposed to be? Because I know he's been used before.
Quicksilver. Yeah, because Quicksilver is the one who runs fast. Silver Surfer is the guy who's like metal and can fly through the air. There's like 1,000 Marvel characters. So we belabor you guys on this.
But, we could talk about this.
Exactly. Sorry, we just off topic. We just
I'm like, is Tristan in here? Because Tristan, my brother, is a comic book geek too, so he would know too.
Yeah. But the comic book movies, I'm glad that you picked 2 shows or 2 pieces of content, because it is good to have some escapism, and we do watch so many just hard things that sometimes we do need some escapism. And definitely anything that's Marvel, it's clever, it's somewhat funny, it's adventurous, the stories are easy to follow. So if you just want something for pure entertainment, Marvel is definitely the spot for you.
For sure.
And then the last movie on our list, which is my pick, which I recently saw, which is The Tomorrow War. I love this movie. This movie, it takes you back to like the good old action movie, and even though I love Marvel, but sometimes you can get superhero overload.
Yeah, you just want a regular dude doing something.
Just a regular guy, just saving the world. And Chris Pratt. So for people who haven't seen this, this is on Amazon. So if you have Amazon Prime,
And I don't want to give too much of this one away because this one just came out
this
Friday. So
this
we don't
just
want to
came out.
mess y'all up too
Right.
much on this.
But on the surface, as far as the trailer, we know that there is a war happening 30, 40 years in the future.
That's
And
right.
so they make this technology to then send people back to this present time. I think it was said in 2022, and then
Mhm.
take human beings from 2022 to the future to
Right.
fight this war against this invasion. And that's pretty much the plot. But
With time travel, as you guys see, and this is kind of time travel with a little bit of multiverse. I don't know. Because I mean, that black girl stayed in present day when she's supposed to be from the future. So there's a lot of, I mean, that's the time travel stuff. But yeah, there's a little bit of that too.
Right. Which we had a conversation about time travel, which I'm gonna be posting either tomorrow. I'll probably post it tomorrow of our little conversation that we had about time travel movies that we recorded yesterday. But yeah, Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt he's just easy to root for. It's like even when he was in Park and Rec as the dumb musician, he was just likable. It's like you wanted him to do well when he was his Star Lord, whenever he was in Jurassic Park. He just is somebody who you can root for. And
he's gonna be Tom Hanks. I mean, the action Tom Hanks. So people just cannot seem to dislike him. Like no matter what happens, they love some Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I love me some Tom Hanks too. I mean, between Tom Hanks and Denzel, I mean, those are two of the greatest actors of our generation.
The solid guys.
Yeah, but he's definitely, I think, somebody who he just feels like a genuine person. Now, either he's a really good actor,
or he's really not genuine,
or he's really just that genuine, and he just seems like that. And another thing is that it had representation through and through. You know, your boy right there, who is the nerd. I love him. He's been in quite a few things, but he is hilarious in this.
His voice doesn't match the way he looks at all.
at all. But it is definitely worth watching. It definitely has an Independence Day sort of feel.
It does.
But if you just like action comedies, something about the future, once again, something easy to watch. If you like action adventure, I definitely highly recommend this. And you said,
I think it's great. I loved it. I mean, for the reasons you liked it too. It was very, the cast was diverse, which I'm always gonna love. Which it brings so much. It's like whether you feel quote unquote forced to hit a diversity kind of quota or number, it feels better to watch something when it's not the same person copy and pasted down the acting spectrum. It's like mix it up. Most people, I mean, they do studies. Most people like to see diverse casts. So when they do it, it just to me sets off the movie. And this movie, I like the scientist black guy who had never held a gun. And I love, the guy who was like been in 3 tours, the other, black man who was obviously like badass or whatever. To have that juxtaposition was cool. But then to know that like, you had this main character who was a soldier, so he had the experience, but he had like so much more, which you'll see when you watch it, to lose because of what he finds out in the future, who he meets in the future. It's like, he's got a lot that he's got to fight for and live for. So there were some good messages too with him kind of not being satisfied with his station in life and thinking his job, he should be making a lot more money or working a different type of job and hitting setbacks. So there was that kind of, realism and just wanting to make a mark and felt like you're not doing it. So it did feel that even though it was a small part of the story, but it did kind of overall, reach back to the end, of the story. But no, I thought it was really well done. And I'm so happy it was on Amazon, which if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it there. Happy. But that would have been a blockbuster, like you said. If that was in the theaters, it would have been a blockbuster.
If this movie was in the theaters, it would have owned the holiday weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. I think it got some pretty good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes so far.
Okay.
It's been. Amazon says that it's the #1 streaming movie in the country. The thing is, though,
it said it was.
Yeah, it said it was, but nobody knows. Nobody knows. I mean, we could probably on Amazon, but
Amazon's just saying,
like box office. You can tell what movies making more because that information is being shared. It has to be shared. But with streaming, Netflix doesn't let you know who's streaming. They never let you know what their numbers are as far as like they just tell you these are the top 10. But are they really the top 10 or is it them just pushing that information up there? Hulu's the same way. Apple TV, they don't let you know anything about.
Exactly. And that's why I don't know anything about their shows.
Right. But you should probably have Apple TV for free because remember, if you bought a new device, then you got Apple TV for free for like a year. And I know some people, they even got their Apple TV subscriptions renewed because Apple TV is not getting any new subscribers.
Oh.
Which I heard that they have great content, but in our list,
I just
they
haven't
didn't make it.
tapped into it yet.
I haven't either. But
So just based off of yesterday, it was watched. Tomorrow War was watched by 2.4 million households, according to Deadline. That was just probably just the weekend. I'm assuming this time. Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty good. That's nowhere near like box office numbers, obviously. Like as you said, we can't really. It's not. I don't know. I guess, like I said, Amazon like to trust their word if it's an Amazon movie. But it looks like the movie that did that the highest was Tom Clancy's Without Remorse and Borat's subsequent movie film. Without Remorse got 2.3 million and 1.6 million for Borat. So I mean, yeah, I mean it's one of those things it's hard to judge because we just don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know, especially because, and I really don't get what their margin of error is, especially because a lot of people share passwords. So it's like, are you basing it off how many times it's watched in that household? How many times a computer with that IP address is watching it? Like, how do you even come up with those numbers? I don't know.
So you said that 2.5 million people watched it, right?
It said 2.41 U.S. households over the 4-day weekend watched Tomorrow War.
Okay, so I'm putting that in. And what tickets are roughly around $15 a piece, depending on, matinee to like evening, depending on what time you're on. So that said it would have made about $36 million over the weekend.
In the opening weekend.
But see, if you think about it, that's only on one channel.
Exactly.
So if it would have been in the box office, it probably would have been in like 5,000 theaters.
Right.
Worldwide. So it probably would have made probably $500 million, I would say.
Yeah, that's how, and the thing about it is like Nomadland, like we watched that on Hulu, but they took it off Hulu. And now it's on demand. So I'm wondering if that's going to be kind of the format, like these new releases will let you have it kind of like HBO Max. HBO Max only lets you watch it for 30 days. So they have a new release, it goes on HBO Max for 30 days. After that, it goes to the theater and it goes to on demand. So I'm wondering I'm not sure if Amazon does the same. That I know that Miss Juneteenth was on Amazon and now it's not. Now you got to pay for it. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be their strategy too, like giving you a certain amount of time to watch this movie, this blockbuster that we paid $200 million to make. But we're gonna find a way to squeeze the lemon just a little bit more on these different, this different way of making cash and viewership.
And the thing is, though, they have to make some money because people spend. How much do you spend? That's like a general cost for Amazon Prime, right? Like, what is
Amazon Prime's like $13 now? It keeps going up. It goes up like $1 at least a year. So I think it's at like $13.99 maybe even
a month. But then you can do like a yearly for like $150 or $125, right?
Yeah, you could pay that. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, though, they're not making enough money off of Amazon subscription, especially when you're thinking about getting the 2-day shipping and all these other perks with it. That they're probably going to have to take it down and then at least try and make some money. Or they're trying to use this to see if they can get more people to sign up for Amazon Prime.
Probably.
Because right now, with the streaming war, nobody really knows exactly what the platform or the execution of distribution is going to be.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. So like you said, Disney, they do the premium, which is $30 up front. HBO Max releases it, but only for 30 days and then takes it down.
Yep.
Amazon, you have to have at least an Amazon subscription to at least be able to watch that
content.
I mean, all of them have to sort of have a subscription, but it's like how they're releasing it. And I think we're probably going to be seeing this for a while because right now box office is doing okay, but it's not near what it used to be. But box office has always been declining year over year.
Even before COVID.
Before quarantine. So now that people know that, you only got to wait. So I know like Cruella, like that's a movie I do want to see. But I wasn't going to pay $30 for it.
Me either. I'm waiting.
But I know by August it's going to be available.
Yeah.
And right now Disney's subscription is like super cheap, so I'll just wait.
Exactly.
So we just don't know. But so if this movie, I wonder if they would have simultaneously released it in theaters and online, how would it have done? Because it was definitely a movie that I wish I would have seen with the surround sound on the screen. It definitely would have been very much an experience sort of.
Yeah. No, that would have definitely. I mean, you definitely need the surround sound. You definitely need that good sound system. You need that whatever the late, what is it, 5K, 6K, what are we up
Yeah.
to? You
Yeah.
definitely would love that for a movie like this. But it just seems like to me that if this doesn't make money, which I do believe it will, I think we're going to see fewer and fewer action movies, because I can't imagine them recouping their costs if they're coming out with these action movies, they're not making any money, but they're
Mm,
spending 200 million or 300 million to make them. I can
mhm.
see the decline, because I already saw the decline in action movies within the last couple of years, where you don't see them as
Mm,
frequently unless it's Marvel. You don't see, like, when
right.
we were kids in the 90s, it was like Arnold had a movie, Jean-Claude Van Damme had a movie, some random guy had a movie, then
Right.
Arnold came out with another movie, and then
Right.
Jean-Claude, it was like Steven Seagal. It was like
Yeah.
literally action movies
Yeah.
were it
Bruce
with
Willis.
romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
if they can't find a way to make money off these action movies, I can see it's just not getting a whole lot.
That would suck.
It would
Because
suck, but it's
because
been declining anyway. We haven't Action movies have been declining.
well, other than I guess the Marvel, like, and it's like Marvel, like comic book movies right now, but like, yeah, your old fashioned just or
Straight up Terminator, $250 million to make movie
yeah,
isn't. They've declined.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
declined.
yeah. Oh, who declined?
I said they have declined, those kind of movies.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I think it's. I don't know why though. I, I don't
I
know.
just
I
think
don't
they're
know.
not getting their costs back. If you go down, I mean, I just personally think they're not getting their money back. Even when the theaters were open, they're not getting the big budget movies are not getting the money back.
Right,
I don't
right.
think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, I mean, right now it's, but they have to do something. Like they have to put out this content for people to watch, or people aren't going to come back to try and watch their content. And
Yeah.
it's like people aren't watching romantic comedies like that. People aren't watching like now. People are just watching so many different things, but what's always been the blockbuster hits have always been the action.
Yeah.
And kind of even looking at our list right now that I have up, what we have: WandaVision, Loki, Raya, um, yeah, and then the Tomorrow War, which I've missed
I
the
think
other
that
one.
our video may have cut out online.
Oh, I see that it's buffering. Error,
Okay.
YouTube not receiving enough video. Maintain smooth streaming. I think we're still there. I just think that it's acting. I don't know.
Okay.
I think we're still good. I think people. Can you guys still hear us? Can you guys still see us on YouTube? Just let us know in the chat. But of course, we have our list up here of the content that we liked. Please share with us what it is that you guys liked, either in the comments, in the chat if you like. And but what do you think about this? I think this is a pretty good list. I think this is a
Yeah, it's a
pretty good
good
list.
list. I think this is a good list. If you haven't seen any of these, is a good place to start. I would definitely start with like Raya and the Last Dragon, WandaVision, something little light and fun. I think your list is heavy as usual. But the rest, I think that, yeah, I think you guys would like all of them. But I would start somewhere in the light area.
Yeah,
Summer, you know.
yeah. I mean, I do like that. I do like that troop stuff though. I don't know. It's like something that I can learn more from. I'm always with, but I do like my balance of escapism, and I think that's why sort of, yeah, the Tomorrow War is probably on that list for me. Raya almost made it, but I just felt like at least the first four on my list were just so important, and
Yeah.
just so needed with the time that we have, and just the diversity of it. Of course, with MLK, FBI, and Billie Holiday, just the exposing of the FBI is just,
Right.
that's what
Yeah,
we need, you know.
I
Um,
agree.
and so yeah, that's our list. And of course, if you guys have your list or anything that you guys want to share, please let us know, and we'll definitely hit you back. But is there anything else we need to cover? I
No,
don't think so.
no, I think we need to. No, I think that's it.
Okay, then. Well, then kind of moving right along. So, of course, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Please share this content. It definitely helps us out a lot as we are trying to build the audience some more. Of course, if you guys are following us on Instagram or Facebook, we're being a lot more active in these spaces now, trying to have these side conversations, posting up these different things like how you posted something on the young lady who's now teaching at Howard, who was at UNC. So please
Hmm.
check it out, because a lot of conversations we want to have that sometimes me and Amber have just one on one, we like want to have more with you guys. So please check us out, and we're going to be posting up some more content as well, maybe some behind the scenes kind of things.
And shorter content too.
And shorter content, yes, more digestible,
Be too long.
Oh,
We can get along with it.
yeah, exactly. Oh, and then my aunt, she says people of seeing the same characters with the same theme, and it is boring. Yeah, I guess I guess you're saying like people aren't being as imaginative, creative, and it's
Yeah.
just sort of recycling. I think I feel like our list was more about originality, and sort of,
Hmm.
this content is just sort of different. Like even I haven't seen Fast and the Furious. Fast and the Furious would not be on my list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just wouldn't.
Exactly. Them is probably the only thing that maybe people kind of have seen as far as the storyline, but not how it was done.
Yeah, not through that lens though.
No,
Not through
exactly.
that lens. I mean, people have seen paranormal stuff, but not through that lens before.
Yep.
Okay, and of course, on our next episode, we will be hitting up the DNA and ancestry sort of conversation. Both me and Amber. Well, I know I've done my test. Amber definitely has some information on her background, and sort of just want to talk about like ancestry and finding the African in our American.
That's
You
right.
know, I mean, I just think it's a really good conversation that we should have about DNA testing, and of course, this, as our other shows, is going to be a series of continuous conversations that we have because it's just too much information out there for us to sort of data dump on you guys. So are you excited for next week's episode?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait to have the conversation.
Mm. Okay. Well, is there anything else you would like to send us off with, Miss
No, just
Amber?
thanks for tuning in, guys, and always hit the notification bell and share. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. And yep, so go ahead and get this outro music started popping. And yeah, guys, well, we're going to definitely post this on some of my social media. So thank you guys. Hit that thumbs up. Please subscribe. And we love y'all. And we're going to see y'all on the flip side. All right. And
Bye.
love, peace, and power.